Scary Things Pod, and check us out on Facebook as well. Also, check out the website, www.wherethescarythingsare.com. I'm your host with the most, the one, the only, Monster Mash Ken, and it's Tuesday night, so you know who's with me. My co-host, the Mistress of Darkness, the Queen of Fright, the Lady of the Night, Muse. How you doing tonight, lady?
I'm good. My husband and I had an anniversary this past week. 14 years. He hasn't killed me yet. So
Oh my
that's a good
goodness.
thing. Yeah. It doesn't seem like it's been 14 years, so I guess that's a good thing.
That's amazing. 14 years. Jeez. I can barely handle my wife for 14 minutes.
I don't know how he's done it all these years, but
Yeah, I don't
still
know how he's
here.
done it either. I don't know. I can barely handle you, and I don't even. You're in a screen. Your little head is
Right.
there, and I want to punch it sometimes. But
Yeah, he's
especially
got me
before
full
we,
strength.
yeah, especially before we hit record. She's killing me. Before we hit record here tonight, and I had to gather myself, and she's a Muse. Ugh,
That news.
that Muse. All right, Chris, what's going on, my friend? How you doing?
Doing wonderful. I am in my Huntington, West Virginia office. It's a beautiful city, home of Marshall University, and in the distance you can see Ohio. I am doing wonderful. On the road again. Is that Willie Nelson, I think?
On the road again? Yeah, I think so. And we got our intern and horror with Dexter. What's going on?
Oh, yes, we are both here tonight. And, Dexter and I were sitting here the other day and discussing our hairdos here. And he was like, he's bald. And he's like, well, you haven't had a haircut in a while. And I'm like, no, I haven't had a haircut. And over a year now. So he's like, you want to do it? Yeah, okay. So he comes over here and, yeah, he pulls out this big butcher knife here and just bam, just cuts it right off. And, yeah, Dexter gave me the first haircut I've had in over a year, if you want to call it a haircut.
I
One
noticed it.
smooth move. Yeah,
Mm.
and the wife wasn't too happy, so she put us both in timeout. So it happens.
She got mad that you cut your hair, or that he cut your hair.
Yeah, she said, Dexter wasn't assigned for that duty, and I said, well, he's a skeleton, and he could have chopped off my head, but I guess he wasn't. He was in a good mood, so I'm still here to this day, right, Dexter? Yeah.
You can't tell, but I'm trying to catch up to you. My hair's getting there, and I'm getting in trouble from my wife. She's telling me cut my hair. I got people on Facebook telling me cut my hair, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna wait a full year because this is my COVID hair, and I hadn't got a haircut since March 20th or something like that. I don't know. So we're gonna see what happens with that. Anyway, really great show as always planned for you. We're gonna be speaking to Chelsea Yurkovitz from the Crumbs, not the Krampus, the Crumbs 2020 film. Lots of fun. Check it out. It is on Amazon. She is a returning guest. We spoke to her from the Abigail Haunting. Such a delight. I wish she could be in studio with us because she's just that personality with such a glowing personality, and it was a really fun interview we did. So we'll play that in a little bit. Before we get into our things, I want to just shout out somebody real quick because I know I'll forget at the end. But I had this really cool author reach out to me. Her name is Meg Smith, and she is the author of a book called The Plague Confessor, and you can find this on Amazon right now. But just a quick rundown of it: a deadly disease presents a woman with unexpected power over bodies and souls. Two school children find within themselves the ability to create and to destroy. A war camp prisoner finds a way out, but must take a path of even greater horrors. These and other journeys into the darkness and light await in The Plague Confessor, Meg Smith's first collection of short fiction published by Emu Books. So check out The Plague Confessor, written by Meg Smith. And you can find her at Meg_Smith_ on Twitter. Thank you so much, Meg, for reaching out to us. And as far as what we got going on tonight, we got our normal get-ups. I'm going to kick off the show with the Fear the Beer of the Week. And this one is really cool. Now, I know there's certain people that get upset if you start talking about Christmas, before Halloween or Christmas before Thanksgiving. I don't care. I love Christmas. I love Halloween. And I definitely love Thanksgiving. Out of the three, I like Thanksgiving a lot because I love eating. But anyway, this beer is called a Gingerbread Stout. And this is from Hardywood, Richmond, Virginia. in Chris's backyard. So this was brewed out that way. And this is it's an imperial milk stout with cinnamon, vanilla, ginger, and honey. So let's try this bad boy. Let's crack this can open. You guys know you love that sound. It's interesting. It definitely tastes like Christmas in a beer can. If I had to say that, wow, that's gonna be it's really good. It's really good, but it's gonna be a long. I'm gonna have to get through that one. Really good beer. All right, so for the horror movie flashback, I got a really cool movie. I actually forgot to bring it up a couple weeks ago. We were talking about, but Sleepy Hollow had came out this time, and I forgot the year. I think it was 2002, maybe. I'll have to take a look. But Sleepy Hollow with Johnny Depp, Christina Ricci, a slew of great characters in here. Christopher Lee was in it, directed by Tim Burton. I love this movie. I think this is like one of the darker Tim Burton films. There's a lot of blood in it. There's a lot of beheading. Casper Van Dien is in it. Let's not forget Christopher Walken surprises us as the Headless Horseman. Ray Park, who played Darth Maul, plays the head. Does the stunt double for the Headless Horseman. So that's badass. Just a slew of great actors. The movie was dark. I loved it. I'm not a big Johnny Depp fan. I know people. I just feel like he's like the same character in every movie now. Like he's always going to be Captain Jack Sparrow, which was great. And then it just got kind of old, So you watch movies now, he's like got that thing going on, whatever. But he's okay. He's just okay to me. But anyway, Sleepy Hollow came out. Also, another movie that had came out was Salem's Lot. And I hadn't seen Salem's Lot in a long time. I know it was like 3 hours long. I've seen it lots of times, but it's been such a long time. I do remember a few scenes that really, really creeped me out. What was this? The Master, the vampire, was his name, the Master or something like that. He was terrifying. And kind of like what Muse and I always talk about his cover art. And I remember they always had like the thicker VHS boxes, and it had like the Master. He's kind of like this, with the cityscape there. And I always thought that was really cool, and I always wanted to watch it, and I didn't realize how long the movie was. But it was a really great, solid Stephen King movie. So 2 great movies. Definitely go back and watch Salem's Lot and Sleepy Hollow. Can't go wrong there. And that's the Fear the Beer of the Week with Hardywood Ginger Stout, brewed out of Hardywood, Richmond, West Virginia, and the horror movie flashback. So I'll throw it on over to Muse.
All right. So for this week's Sinister Six, I usually try to line up a top 6 list in with the movie. But this time I decided to kind of go off on my own. I got a special Sinister Six for next week, but you guys are just going to have to tune in to find out. It has something to do with Dexter, and that's all I'm going to say. But I thought it would be fun to talk about some of our favorite plot twists in horror movies. And I'm going to swing back around to the guys and we can't, no spoilers. I'm not going to give any spoilers, and hopefully you guys don't either, because we know that even though we've seen so many movies, maybe others out there haven't. Ken, because he loves to, kind of spoil stuff every here and there. I had to get him back for earlier, but yeah, so I'm not going to give any spoilers here. I'm just going to kind of revisit the movie a little bit with you guys real briefly. I'm going to give you my top 6, and I'm going to swing around to the guys because I'm really excited to hear what some of their favorite movies were with plot twists. I mean, we're not going to give away the plot twist, but hopefully you'll know what they're talking about, or even better, if you have not seen it, you'll go and seek out the movie and watch it for yourself and decide for yourself if it's a really insane plot twist. If this could be anything that messed you up or, really threw you for a curve or you just did not see coming, etc. So the first movie I'm going to start out with is a newer movie. I think it's from 2014. It's actually streaming on Tubi TV as of right now. It's called Goodnight Mommy. And I've heard it's just a little hidden gem here. I think that it's not talked about enough, but I have seen some folks on Twitter talking about it here and there. And so I think that's really awesome. So I checked it out myself, and it's got a great plot twist. But just to give you the quick rundown of the movie, it centers on 2 twin boys who do everything together. They collect beetles, they feed stray cats, and they've got a mother who's just come home after reconstructive surgery. and she's got her face wrapped in bandages, and she's acting really different. Her demeanor is really distant. She's not acting like herself. The boys immediately are taking affront to this, and they grow really suspicious of who she really is. And as the movie unfolds, there's just, like I said, there's like a plot twist that you're just like, and it's got an insane ending that's just going to leave your jaw on the floor. I definitely recommend this film if you've not seen it. It is on Tubi right now, free. Check it out. Let me know what you think, or if you have seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So definitely, that's a great movie to start off with. A lesser talked about film, indie horror. Number 2 is obviously Get Out. Jordan Peele is the master. He's one of my new favorite filmmakers. Loves to throw curveballs at us. Get Out was definitely the epitome of that. I will never be hypnotized now, ever. I'm good on all that. Like I said, this is a story where we think one thing's happening, and it's actually goes a whole lot deeper down the rabbit hole than you would even begin to imagine. And you've got to see it. Most people have seen this one, but if you have not, you've got to check this one out. It's superb. It's brilliant. Also, Us by Jordan Peele, as well as another great plot twisty movie where you're not quite sure what's going on until near the end. And it's great. It really throws you. The third movie is called The Visit, and I think Omar has talked about this one as well. This is kind of like in a found footage style too, which was kind of like a double win for me. But this movie messed me up so bad the first time I saw it, and I love it. I'm determined to make my husband watch this with me because I just want to see his face near the end because of the twist. But it centers on a single mother who sends her 2 young children to visit their grandparents on a remote Pennsylvania farm for like a week-long trip, out to see the grandparents on the farm there. But the children discover that this elderly couple, the grandparents, are involved in some really disturbing stuff. It's some disturbing activity happening, and their chances of getting back home look less and less likely with every minute that passes. Things start to go off the rails pretty quickly, especially at night. And you just don't even see this plot twist coming at the end. I still am in shock over it. It's amazing. My fourth film is Insidious. And this is another at the end plot twist. We know the story. It's about a couple whose son is in a coma after an accident in the beginning of the film. And of course, starring the wonderful Patrick Wilson and Rose Byrne. And the couple takes drastic measures when it seems their new home is haunted. And their son, comatose son, is possessed by a malevolent entity. And the movie is just so good. It's one of those horror movies. It's probably one of the best of the last 10 years, for sure. Definitely up there. I would imagine it's in most people's top 5 for newer horror. And it's just the ending. And actually leads into the second Insidious movie as well, the ending of the first one. And you're just like, what? Wait a second. And again, if you know the movie, you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you have not seen it, you got to see this. This is definitely one of those must-see horror films for horror fans. The fifth movie is more of a thriller. And I never see this one. I think I saw one of my friends on Twitter talking about this, but it's called Searching. And it's from 2018, and it centers on a character named David Kim. And he becomes really desperate when his 16-year-old daughter, Margot, disappears, and an immediate police investigation leads nowhere. So even though it seems like the obvious choice to do, he soon decides to, search the one place that no one else has. And I have no idea. That was the only part of it that I just was like, how have you not searched her laptop? But they search her laptop, and he's hoping to trace her digital footprints to find out what's happened, any clues. He contacts her friends, looks at photos, videos for any possible clues to her whereabouts. And it has got one of those twist endings that you're just like, wait a second, so it's again, I'm not going to tell you if it ends good or bad. None of these, I'm not going to tell you, but it's one of those endings that's going to probably leave you just kind of like staring at the screen even long after the credits have rolled. And last but not least is Saw. The ending of Saw, the whole movie was just completely nuts. We know the story of Saw, which came out in 2004, centers on photographer Adam Stanheit and oncologist Lawrence Gordon. They regain consciousness while chained to pipes at either end of a filthy bathroom. And the two men realize they've been trapped by a sadistic serial killer nicknamed Jigsaw, and they must complete the perverse puzzle to live. Flashbacks are relating the fates of their previous victims. And meanwhile, Dr. Gordon's wife and young daughter are forced to watch his torture via closed circuit video. So, but the ending, I mean, it's off the rails anyways, of the things that go on, the shocking moments. I know people either love this one or hate it, but just for the ending alone, you're just like, wait a second, how the hell did we miss this type of thing? And I can't give it away, but if you have not seen it, if for some reason you haven't watched this one, you know, you're going to be blown away. And people that have seen this one a few times know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm going to give an honorable mention to American Psycho, the ending of American Psycho, because there's a lot of debate about this ending. You know, and for people that have actually read the book, it was a novel before it was turned into a movie. And there's a debate about what actually happened. We think this is what's going on, but then it's like, okay, wait a minute. What's going on? This is going on. This is not going on. You know, what really happened? And there's still, I see people debating this one still all the time. So I guess if you've read the book, there's people that have different takes. There's conspiracy theories about how this was supposed to go, like what's actually happening with Patrick Bateman, what's not happening. Is it a metaphor? Is it not a metaphor for this or that? It's a really fascinating movie and a great book as well. Definitely go back and see American Psycho if you missed that one. So that was 7. And I added Us along with Get Out. So I was like 8, but it was so hard to narrow down. There's so many good ones with plot twists. So I'm going to swing around to Ken because I see him over there nodding and shaking.
I'm laughing at you. You're a train wreck all the time. But you don't look away. We want to see more. We want to see more of the train wreck.
Yeah.
So since you brought up American Psycho, and I think that there's some debate a lot along with that movie too. Like, is it a horror movie? Is it not? And I want to bring up another controversial film that's kind of, is it? And I think horror may have brought this topic up a while ago, and I think it just depends on what you find scary. Movies that make you uncomfortable, you know, and stuff like that. So I define that as something that's scary, and we bring movies on like that. Even with The Crumbs, you know, it's not particularly a scary movie, but it's an uncomfortable movie in scenes, and it's got freaky stuff going on, whatever. So The Joker, or Joker, I'm going to put that as one of those movies that at the end, it's kind of like what happened, you know? Yeah. And if you haven't seen this movie, man, I really just, from the cinematography to the acting to the music, the setting, the wardrobe, this movie is a brilliant masterpiece of a movie. It's probably definitely in my top 5 movies all time. I love this movie. It was uneasy to watch, and very violent, very sad. And then at the end, was it all in his head? What is going on here? We don't know. So that's one. And then Devil, the one where they're in the elevator.
Yes.
So
yep.
That one was like, wait, what? And you're trying to figure out who was it, who did it, what? And it's the you're
don't
surprised.
Spoil it.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything, but it's one of those movies, and those types of movies, when they're done well, you're trying to pay attention and figure it out, and you're like involved in the movie. So I love that, rather than just mindless movies where you just put them on and they're on the background. Those movies you watch, and Saw was a good one, because at the end you're like, wait, what? You know, how did I miss that? And then, so really good list. I'll throw mine over to Chris now.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned Devil. I thought I was the only person in the world that liked it and saw it, but I love that movie.
You know, one thing I never noticed. It was on the cover art. It had like an upside down cross. I never noticed that until recently. Yeah. I'm like,
yeah. All right, I chose 3 movies. Hopefully, ones that aren't in the mainstream. Before she became famous, Kate Beckinsale, a couple of years before Underworld, made a ghost story called Haunted. It is she has a lot of nude scenes in it, which is unusual when you think what the ending is, which I won't tell you. But a ghost story from, I think, 1999 or maybe 1996 called Haunted is an ending that is so creepy. And then it's one of those endings that, even though it blows you away, you look and say, I should have figured that out. Everything was there. Kind of like The Sixth Sense. You know, you're like blown away, and you think, I should have figured that out. Okay. No, a Luke Evans movie. It's about 8 years old, called No One Lives. He apparently plays a vicious, mean, sadistic killer, and you meet him, you die, type of thing. And he, on a rainy night, comes to this place, a lot of people there, and he's got a box with him, a cage with him, where he's carrying around a girl, a woman, and you can just imagine what he's going to do with the woman. Well, the ending turns things around a bit. It's one of those examples. Things aren't always what they seem. And then one that I hope you guys have seen. Eric Carell wrote a book about Claudia Jennings. If you haven't read it, you should read it. A B movie queen of the 70s, Playboy playmate, died tragically in a car accident way before her time, back in I think 79. Made a movie a couple years before her death called Sisters of Death. 6 nubile babes who were buddies in college decide to have a little reunion. They go to one of their houses or summer houses. It's this big ranch type, estate type thing. And of course, there's one who wasn't with them because of a tragic accident that nobody talks about. And one by one, the gals start dying horribly. The ending will absolutely blow you away. It'll blow you away once, twice, and then 3 times. It's like, whoa, there's a twist. Whoa, there's another twist. Whoa, there's another twist. And so if you ever get a chance to see Claudia Jennings film called Sisters of Death, I think it's on YouTube, and I also believe it's on Tubi. So no excuse for not seeing it. And
I know.
Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was so excited to comment on No One Lives.
Yeah.
Because I saw this probably about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago now. And it's actually one my husband watched along with me, and he really liked it. And I don't know what that says, but I don't know about
Run!
I like him.
He loved it. And it was one of the few that he watched with me that he was like, that was really good. Had a great ending, like you said. And there's 2 more I need to add to the list that I loved. I loved your list, Chris. That's awesome. But yeah, No One Lives with Luke Evans. I cannot stress, see that if you have not seen that, guys. All right, Omar, what do you and Dexter got?
What is Dexter?
Well, Dexter actually has a good one. His answer is The Skeleton Key. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that one. So that fits right in with Dexter there. Good job, Dexter. I didn't even know you saw that. I don't know. He amazes me sometimes. I don't know what. Okay, I don't know. As far as me, you pretty much stole my answer, because every time that the question gets asked to me, I say Saw. I still can't believe I didn't see that coming. I sometimes feel ashamed with that. Some other ones that I think we've mentioned on the show before: Orphan. A little surprised, didn't quite catch that one, but there was a little sneakiness there. Ken mentioned Johnny Depp earlier, and then here's one: The Secret Window.
Secret Window. Yes.
That was another sneaky one back in the time there. He definitely wasn't Captain Jack back then. And I guess a newer one, which I really enjoyed, probably more thriller than horror, but I See You. And I believe that was either on Netflix or Amazon. I don't remember. But the movie's kind of set up in different kind of stages. They show you one part, and then they kind of rewind and show it to you again from a different angle, and then the third time around basically kind of fills in the gaps with a big surprise at the end. I really like that one. So if you're looking for something newer, again, not horror, not the typical kind that we like, but more of a mystery thriller. But definitely a great movie overall, and a very good ending.
As a stellar list. I remember the first time I saw Secret Window as well. And I was like, okay. I mean, Johnny Depp plays off the rails so well. He's just one of those guys that can just really, he's very convincing and playing crazy. And I really loved it. And, it was one of those movies that you really didn't know what was going on. And, some of the, I think they were kind of unintentionally funny. It cracked me up how many times he returned to that couch in that robe. And he was like, and we have returned to the couch. And I was like, that is so me. We've returned to the couch for another midday nap. you know, it's empty bag of Doritos, and I just loved it. And I don't think it was meant to be funny, but I really cracked up at that. But yeah, I love the list, and I actually still need to see I See You. That's with Helen Hunt, right?
Yes, yes, it
Okay,
is.
that's the one I'm thinking of. That's definitely on my list. All right, so that's it for the Sinister Six. Great lists, everybody.
Oh, Helen Hunt, man, I used to have a big crush on her.
I love her. She's so cool.
She's like just perfect. I don't know, as good as it gets. That's a good movie right
I
there.
loved her in Twister. She was just like the badass storm chaser, and just not taking any crap, and I loved it.
Oh well, speaking of badasses, let's get into the 666 horror rundown with Promote Horror and Horror and Dexter now.
And Dexter's sitting right next to
Troublemaker.
me. So yeah, have no fear. We can trust in Dexter. He had his opportunity, very few, to chop my head off, and he didn't. So I'm still here. That might be good for him or not. We'll see. Uh, so when we started this remake segment, it was started off to be about me being pissed off. But over the time we've kind of taken different angles and done different stuff with it and expanded into looking at different ways to talk about remakes and so forth. But today I'm going back to being pissed off. Not because a remake has been made, but basically one that's been announced. Um, Now, this one is not a horror movie, so you're gonna have to bear with me now. This is more of maybe a comedy slash family movie, with maybe a sprinkling and a dash of maybe sci-fi if you really want to stretch it out that way. But I just couldn't miss the opportunity to talk and complain about it right now before we even get off the ground with it. And that is Short Circuit, number five, uh, Johnny Five. I'm sure some of us that Chris, this is probably he was already a full grown adult when he saw this. It didn't matter, but maybe for some of us out here, we're still in our young stages here, and probably a movie that we saw and can relate to and enjoyed. And they just recently announced that they're going to remake this movie. Just putting to shame that we talk obviously a lot about the horror remakes and how they've ruined a lot of them or why and this and that about them. But this is just an example of other things are getting remade and just ruined from our childhood. So the real horror here is ruining our childhood. So while they are trying to bring other teenagers and children along by showing some of these other movies and remaking some horror movies to appease that audience, now they're really going at it and taking a stab at our real childhood with movies like Short Circuit. Now, I don't know how anybody else feels about this movie. I enjoyed it. They obviously did enough with it to make a sequel. If you think about it, he's really an evil robot to begin with. I mean, that was his purpose. His purpose is to go to war and destroy things. You see, the other robots in the movie are actually pretty nasty. They got that big laser on his shoulder. In a way, they look a little bit like Dexter, sort of, and their body shape. It's a little bit of a stretch, but rolling around on wheels and they want to destroy stuff. And luckily, Johnny Five gets zapped there in an accident, and he becomes as lovable as can be, and kind of tries to be as human as can be for a robot. And there's a lot of humor in the movie, funny as he's adapted, and even when it's a little bit of a sad story as it goes on too. So you had a lot of things going there, and supposedly now they're going to bring it back. It's the same people that are doing Scream 5. We were complaining about that already. So they want to, kill us with Scream, kill us with Short Circuit now. I don't know what the hell is going on now. This is just becoming utterly ridiculous here. So I'm going to mention one other thing, but before I do that, I'm going to kind of give you guys a quick second here to think of maybe another movie that is not horror related, or maybe borderline horror, borderline sci-fi, or maybe something just from your childhood. That a movie that you kind of liked and that if they announced today, hey, we're doing a remake of this, would kind of piss you off as well. Um, so while I give you a second to think about that, I'm going to mention another one because I saw the trailer today of Tom and Jerry. Now, you want to talk about ruining childhood here again? I enjoyed Tom and Jerry. It was a great cartoon and everything like that. Today they put out this animated slash live action trailer of Tom and Jerry being a cartoon and then everything real action behind it. And what the hell? Seriously, I don't know what the hell is going on there. It just looked really awkward. Uh, just felt like Tom and Jerry was just being pulled right out of their element. And, this is just more, in our interview, we talked about 2020 and kind of behind the scenes, we talked about 2020 being a disaster. To me, this is just another dumpster fire, kick in the nuts kind of thing here with Short Circuit and Tom and Jerry. I didn't even know they were doing this Tom and Jerry thing. This is just out of control. So I don't know which one of you has come up with an answer yet, but whoever can go wants to go first.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go because I saw the Johnny Five, Short Circuit, Steve Guttenberg, Ali Sheedy. I mean, these were people that we watched, Police Academy and Ali Sheedy movies and whatnot. We love these movies, right? And then Short Circuit was great, and then he goes to New York in the second one and all this shit. But then we get the news like they're going to remake it. Like, well, what's he going to look like? What's he going to act like? What's going to happen here? And I was thinking about it. They kind of already made a similar movie called I, Robot with Will Smith. Like, they had these robots, and the robots are meant to protect. They go bad, and then the Terminator is kind of the same thing. It's like, it's the same concept, just regurgitated and sprinkled with a little bit more salt or pepper, And they try to fool us, and I've already said this before on the show, is that's why I love indie films, because they're all original ideas in their own way. And media moguls, these major corporations, they look back. Well, what worked for us back in the 80s? Well, this movie worked really well. Well, we're going to bring that back because it's going to put butts in the seats. And when theaters open up, people are going to want to go and see something that is reminiscent of their childhood. But then there's people like us that don't like it. So I'm going to go back to a film that you mentioned, Exorcist. It's not, that movie just doesn't need to be remade. It doesn't need to be remade. It's just leave it. Hellraiser. Don't start fresh. It's done. You tried to do it 10 different times. Didn't work. Stop. Freddy Krueger. Stop. I'll go with those. If I see another Spider-Man origin or a Batman origin, I'm excited for the Batman. It's a different concept because I'm going to give it a chance, but it's just like, I'm just tired of it. We know what's going to happen, and we don't need to see it again. So, yeah, I totally get this. I'm not even paying attention. The Craft, we saw that last week. Like, what else can you do? Think of something different, please. Muse, what do you got? I'm going to blow a head gasket here.
Well, speaking of blowing a head gasket, if they remake The Crow, I will lose my shits. I will be ranting. I'll never shut up. And I know they've had a lot of problems. They were talking about remaking it. I don't even know. And I don't mind Jason Momoa, but he's Johnny Depp now. He's the same guy in every movie. It's like, come on. Yeah, and I love Jason Momoa, but you can't remake The Crow. Don't. It was so good the first time. Leave it alone. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a classic. Let Brandon Lee's legacy rest. Let it be. And there's been talks that it's a cursed movie. I don't know, but I'm not even going to get into all that. But just don't remake it. And another one I saw, and I just heard about this one, Escape from New York. Do not remake this movie. Kurt Russell, come on. This worked so well the first time. I know that it's early 80s and people are like, oh, let's make it for new generation. No. It worked so well.
I did see some a cool concept. It was like Escape from Earth. Make that.
Right. I think we all want to escape from Earth after this year. We all want off this planet. We've all wanted off this planet, almost everybody at some point. But yeah, Escape from New York, it worked well the first time. Kurt Russell is legendary. So many great performances in that one. And Omar mentioned Tom and Jerry. I'd heard some rumors, and I'm so glad it didn't get off the ground. I'm sorry for everybody that wanted to see this one, but a live action Thundercats, don't do it. Don't do it. I just think it sounds like a really bad idea. And I know they did Cats or something like that. I just seen that with Thundercats. It's a cartoon. Leave it alone. It was a legendary cartoon. I loved it. It was one of my favorites. Don't make this movie live action. Don't do this. So those are my three. So I'm gonna. I guess I'm
Chris.
Yeah, Chris.
I got an extensive list.
When do you write these? I'm watching you. It's weird. It's like you have an assistant there writing, and they know what you're thinking.
Yeah, they do. I got a staff. Quiet. All right, I got a staff. Um, Two movies that they keep threatening to remake that haven't been remade. The movie gods are not fond of having remakes of these movies. They can't be, and that's part of their appeal. And a modern remake of The Creature from the Black Lagoon or Logan's Run would take the campiness out of it. Also, there are no actresses qualified to play Jessica Six like Jenny Agutter did. So those two. Also, a really low budget movie that scared everybody who saw it. Let's Scare Jessica to Death. It hopefully will never be remade because they'll throw a lot of money at it if they do. And I think that will take care of the scares. I think that'll just make them too CGI or something. So that one they should not remake. And one that they were going to remake, and then the movie company lost a bunch of money and they didn't, thank goodness, is a lot like what Lori said about Thundercats, is the British TV show from 1973, I think 73 and 74, 28 episodes of UFO. Jerry Anderson. I don't know if you guys have seen that show. If you have, you remember Lieutenant Gay Alice with the purple hair. That's what most people remember. Campy, stupid, but in an endearing kind of way. Fortunately, who's the lady? Ellie Larder was going to be in it. I think she was going to play Colonel Veronica Lake or Victoria Lake or something, whatever. So those should never be remade. Some they've tried and they haven't got off the ground, and that's a good thing. Hopefully that'll continue.
See, I don't think people are going to be so upset with your list, Chris, because nobody's ever heard of these movies.
So you got to read my blog. Why aren't you guys reading my blog? You got to memorize the blog. There's only 1,400 entries on it. You can do that in 6 months.
I'm working on it. On it.
Good.
Yeah, they're going to have to go back to Chris's time because they're really messing with our time. That's messing with us. We have to make some calls. Go back to Chris's time. Really start messing with his movies, so he really knows how it feels.
You're talking to people probably your age who haven't seen anything. I mean, in 10 years from now, they're going to be Chelsea's age, Chelsea Jerkowitz's age. You believe she was born in 1999? I think I got underwear older than her. But anyway, that's
Oh my gosh.
All right. With that, I think it's time for some news because that is oh man. And I'm even feeling old here. So continuing with and I just mentioned this a minute ago. Continuing with this remake stuff. Scream 5 is officially done. They've wrapped, and so now comes the clock. And I guess we're going to have to wait till January of 2022 if we're all still alive and the world is still here. We'll be ready for Scream 5. I'm sure some of us will never be ready. Something really cool and kind of again a throwback for us. If you haven't seen it, is Mortal Kombat put out a trailer for their ultimate gameplay here for number 11 here, and it kind of featured Rambo fighting the T-800. Not huge news here, but I kind of stumbled upon that video, and that was pretty cool. Kind of going backwards again and seeing Rambo and Arnold there go face to face. Now, see if they kind of did those kind of remakes where they just kind of take two characters from famous movies, just throw them together and have them fight it out. I mean, hell, I would have watched that more than a Short Circuit remake, Tom and Jerry, or whatever the hell else. That's just much more interesting to me. Even in that short clip, I was like all for it, and that was like a minute and a half or something. Regardless, moving on. I haven't mentioned this in a while, and this one's for Ken here is Funko Pop. We tried to sell a lot of them to him earlier, and they have a new cool one out here featuring Ash from Army of Darkness, being sold through Hot Topic. So again, if you're Evil Dead fan here and collector of Funko Pop, check out that exclusively being sold at Hot Topic. Pretty cool stuff there. We mentioned the Craft Legacy a minute ago. For those who haven't seen it, still want to see it. I still haven't seen it yet. I will see it at some point so that I can probably be pissed off about it and complain. It will be coming out on Blu-ray, DVD on December 22nd, because I'm sure all of you want to add that to your collection. Um, if you missed the Freaky movie that just came out, I unfortunately have not seen it yet. Really dying to see it. Might not have to wait too much longer because should be on video on demand by the end of the month. I guess it's part of their new Universal working with theaters to show it in a limited time and then bring it as quickly home as can be. If you remember, Universal and the theaters had their dispute earlier this year, and I guess that was one of the outcomes of that. Not sure how you feel about Seth Rogen. I guess he's producing another horror movie here. This one is called Video Nasty, and I guess a VHS player is going to be pulling some teens into an 80s like slasher movie. Concept kind of been done in some ways, but we'll see. I don't know. Sometimes his movies are good, and sometimes they're weird. Someone else who's producing is Norman Reedus, Mr. Walking Dead himself. He's going to produce a TV series adaptation of Sorority House Massacre. I'm sure that rings bells to Chris. So he's going to be doing that. So we'll see. I didn't quite catch if that's going to be an AMC thing, because he seems to do everything for AMC, or this is going to be on a separate network. But something to look forward to there. Something that I'm looking forward to, and something that was put off by the virus and so forth, is American Horror Story. And I guess they started working on that, and they released 2 posters for both the season 10 and the spinoff show that's coming. So that's a little bit of a tease. I'm not sure if they've started filming yet, but hopefully they have, and hopefully we can get that going sooner than later. And a movie that I'm very much looking forward to is Arch Enemy. And this is done by the Daniel Isn't Real director, writer, Adam Egypt Mortimer. Looks very exciting. Not totally a horror movie, kind of a different spin on a superhero kind of thing. And that will be coming to theaters on demand and digital on December 11th. So we don't have too much longer to wait for that. But that is definitely what I'm looking forward to. If you haven't seen Daniel Isn't Real, just please just go watch that movie. I don't know how this one is going to compare to that one, but Daniel Isn't Real is a fantastic movie as itself. So I'm very much looking forward to see what he does with Arch Enemy. And my recommendation this week, again, I can't say that I saw too many great things, but I think this one is at least worth a watch. Here is The Wolf in Snow Hollow. Kind of a comedy horror kind of setup here. Obviously based on werewolves and so forth. I don't want to give it away. It has a little bit of a twist ending. Not a huge recommendation. Not saying you have to go see this, but definitely worth a watch. So yeah, that's my complaining, and that's the news.
Great topics, man. You guys are getting, between Muse and yours, it's I'm getting all hot here, man. And we love our movies so much, and it's great to talk about them and dissect them. And I know there's a new generation, but I hope that when my daughter watches these movies that get remade, she likes it, go back and watch the original when I grow. Like, she watches the Chipmunks, the new stuff. I go back and watch the cartoon. Anyway, let's hear our movie review with Chris the Creature and The Crumbs.
The Crumbs. One of the stars is Chelsea Jerkowitz. Had just a wonderful time chatting with her a few moments ago, and you'll be able to see that in just a couple minutes. The Crumbs, think Motel Hell. For some reason, Motel Hell, which is over 25 years old, kept coming to mind, and you'll understand why once I get into the plot a little bit. But Chelsea Jerkowitz, Chelsea Yorkovitz. Yorkovitz. Yes, Yorkovitz. We'll call her Chelsea, though. She is a delightful young lady, and we've had her on the show a couple of times. The first time we had her, she was sort of a girl on the run from just about everything, from dangerous boyfriends to murders and she's sort of in hiding. And unfortunately, where she's hiding is beset by an evil entity, which plays out in the movie. Now, this movie is different. She is the evil entity, not really an entity. It's a real flesh and blood human being. There's a whole family of them, the Crumbs. They look nice. We like them. We kind of feel weird about liking them because they're monsters. And not in their own minds, though, because part of the reason we like the Crumbs is we see a lot of interaction with just the four of them as what appears to be a loving family. Concern for a daughter who might be vulnerable with a certain handicap and a diminutive, trying to keep her pure in a Western civilization that has gone haywire with the morals. We can understand that. We can sympathize with that. And the Crumbs own a bed and breakfast in the middle of the wilderness, the woods. I think this movie was filmed in California, and it's a nice place, beautiful scenery. There's a lake you can hike to, lots of nice trails and hikes. They don't have the internet, which is kind of a humorous scene in the movie. But it's not just a coincidence, and you'll find that out. Now, the Crumbs have a problem. They're strange. They're actually, you want to call them monsters. They're the monsters in this movie. A lot of people are going to die at their hands. And it starts off right away. And one after another, after another, after another. And you almost say, I got it. I realize, okay, I got it. But what they're trying to pan out is that there's a reason why they're killing. And it's sort of brought out in more detail, and I won't go into all of that detail because there are reveals later on, but they need the corpse. They need the body. They need the person who's being killed for a number of reasons pertaining to their own health. There are maladies that Mr. Crumb, who runs the bed and breakfast with his wife, Maria Olsen plays the wife, wonderful actress. You've seen her in 1,000 things. And Jeff Hatch plays Dr. Benjamin Crumb. He's a mad scientist. He's not your typical Dr. Frankenstein mad scientist. He sits by, reads the paper. I don't know if he's got a pipe. He smokes a cigarette. And he's very matter of fact when he's not in the laboratory doing very devious things. And you're going to see those devious things. But to keep their daughter, and I'm telling you a lot of stuff that's going to prove to be not true at all, but I don't want to give anything away. But to keep her well, they need what looks like, when you see it, the spinal fluid or something from their guests. And they need it to keep her well. And then you find out a little bit more that they all need the dead body or the guest. Now, it's very interesting. And one of the neat phrases in the movie is, do you have reservations? See, if you have reservations, there's a record of it, there's a credit card receipt, there's something, whatever. But if you don't have reservations, there's no way to trace you to this bed and breakfast in the middle of nowhere. And they pick up on that. And if you don't have reservations, you're probably going to get no reservations. This is your lucky day. Someone just canceled. If you ever hear that, go, leave, do not stay. And, this is not a movie for the spur of the moment people that say, hey, no, let's just go and find some place. Those people never live more than 30. I mean, they got life expectancies of a housefly, especially in this movie. Now, what's kind of alarming about this movie is when we sort of get into it, we have, at least at the beginning, more endearment toward the Crumbs, mom and dad, Victoria and Leonard. I'm going to talk about Leonard in a second. We kind of like them. They kill people, but it was a Norman Bates. You all go a little mad sometimes. We all have our, I want my lawyer before I answer any questions from you, stories in our past that we can sort of sympathize with these guys. And when they start killing people who don't have reservations for their own purposes, we kind of like them, and we get to meet the victims, and we really don't like them much. superficial people from the big city, and probably even from New York. And we kind of like these guys, the country, the home folk. They don't do the internet. They're not corrupted by Western civilization like we all are. But there's a change. Um, what happens when the victims become a little bit more sympathetic? And this is the strength of this movie, because we've already sort of liked these people. We feel guilty about it because they're killing people. But hey, it's a movie. We kind of like them. But what happens? How do we look at them when the victims, and I'm not going to tell you where it goes with the victims, and eventually goes full circle as far as the type of people they're killing, and say, well, kind of, they shouldn't have killed them. And oh, did they really? Oh no. And you're playing head games with yourself now. Well, there's another character in this. It's Leonard, who, and I need to mention him. He's played by Anton Clark, and he does a wonderful job. But we would describe him as a gentle giant. He is big. He's lumbering. He can beat up 5 people at once. And he can smash through doors, but he's a gentle giant. And him and Victoria, who's played by Chelsea Yurkovitz, is a neat matchup because she's very diminutive. She's sick. We don't know quite with what, but she definitely needs something these guests have, and whether it's spinal fluid, blood, or whatever. And we think, and she is looked upon by Leonard as his charge in life is to protect Victoria, Chelsea Yurkovitz, at whatever cost. And he does that. And as the movie goes on, it becomes kind of interesting because Leonard, quiet, unassuming Leonard, obviously has more intimate feelings toward Victoria. Whether Victoria knows that or not, it's not made clear, and that sort of comes to a head when Victoria realizes she's missed out on a lot. She sees these young people coming. They have the internet. They're on Instagram. They have phones. They smoke pot. They have premarital sex. They're having a lot of fun. And she gets a little bit of a bug to say, what am I missing out on? And she explores that life, or at least starts to. Now, Leonard's in a tough position because his job is to protect Victoria up to now physically. And now Leonard's got to act to preserve her virtue. Now, we don't blame her. She's like a teenager. She wants to explore. She wants to separate from her parents. But there's a whole lot more going on, and there's a lot at stake. Now, what is Dr. Benjamin Crumb doing in his laboratory? We're going to find out. We're going to spend a lot of time in that lab. It's going to be grisly. It's going to be bloody. It's going to touch on cannibalism, although that's not the main part of what he's doing in the lab. This is not like Motel Hell where they're making chili. They're doing stuff that is big secret in more ways than one. And unfortunately, there's a very determined private investigator who was on them. And I believe he's played by the director.
Yeah, he's the director.
Yeah, David Espinosa. And he's got a very unfortunate story, not in real life, but his character does. And he has a motive for wanting to get to the bottom of what's going on with the Crumbs. At risk is a monster family who we like a lot, especially the daughter, played by Chelsea. And shame on us for liking her. But I tell you, by the time the end comes, you're wondering, why were you liking these people? Because they're going to be a couple of killings and you have a big problem with. So not the feel-good movie, although comedic in spots, maybe instructive in spots. And it goes from a clean-cut setting with people doing naughty things to something really deviant and vicious right before your eyes, and it's snuck right in there. And that is the Crumbs. And we're going to have a neat talk with Chelsea in just a minute or two.
Great review, Chris. Check it out, you guys. You stream this movie. It's on Amazon. That's how I watched it. It's for free on Amazon if you're a Prime member. It's a little lengthy, and it does take a while for the story to develop. It doesn't mean that it's boring or anything. You get to see glimpses of where the movie's going, and then things kind of come together at the end. Anyway, let's check out our interview with Chelsea Jurkovec. She's going to kill us. We're murdering her.
Jurkovec.
Jurkovec.